It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley as we begin a Friday. Gary, how are you?
Well, I got to tell you, one of my favorite headlines was, I think it was Fox News, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it was the people on the convention floor are asked why they like Harris.
Oh, yeah.
And it said, I really don't know much about her, but I like her, and that's more important than policy, said the blonde woman. That was the headline, said the blonde woman. I'm like,
put that in the headline?
Yes, in the sub-headline. It was like, said the blonde woman. I'm like, oh, my. It's like,
Did the people over at Babylon Bee go to work for Fox News for a while? For the week? Wow, that's funny. Said the blonde woman.
Actually, the big news wasn't anything that happened at the convention. The big news is it looks like Donald Trump is serious about winning the race.
Oh, yeah.
Him and Brian Kemp are now best buds.
I heard, it could be wrong, or it could be a rumor I'm starting right now, that they're doing a sleepover at Brian Kemp's place this weekend. It could be completely false, but yeah. All right. So you met, but what does it tell you? It tells you that the backlash said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And then, apparently he listened to it, and that's because you saw it across the board. I know there was back and forth on X and on social media. Some conservatives and Trump loyalists were going back and forth, going, the loyalists saying, well, nah, come on, it's not a big deal, nobody cares, or he was right, or whatever it was. And conservatives making the point, and some of them making the point that we made, and that is, you need every Republican. First of all, you need Georgia. You need all the battleground states. But you need Georgia, you need a Republican governor, you need a surrogate who means it. And then if you win, you need a good Republican governor, as many good Republican governors as you can, to build that consensus within the states and getting things moving. And that's important within the party. And, then it kind of went away, and then Trump kind of revisited it, and then yesterday it was like, okay, we gotta fix this thing, and so hopefully between now and November 5th it doesn't fall out again. But yeah,
he went on Fox. He was also on during on Fox yesterday.
Yeah,
and it's very quickly, because this won't last long. But she may get a little bit of a bump, but when you look at what happened last night in her speech, you came in and you told me, I know why she wasn't there last night. She's been practicing this speech on the teleprompter 18 hours a day.
Yeah, this week she's not at the convention because they've been rehearsing the daylights out of it, because it was a vast improvement. And if that's the best thing you can say when you come away, that's it, that the teleprompter work was a vast improvement, that's not going to get you there.
Yeah, but it was, to Democrats, it is having somebody who can speak in front of a teleprompter, even if they can't ad lib at all. That's a major improvement, because Biden couldn't talk. This is how
that's what I said from day one.
This is how low the standard is for the Democrats. But getting to the parts of the speech last night that I got, I went, whoa. Here's what she said here on basically on things being terrible. Here we go.
All right.
Talking about how terrible everything is. Well, my mother had another lesson she used to teach. Never let anyone tell you who you are. You show them who you are.
Well, that doesn't even make sense.
No.
Because you're talking about how terrible everything is. You're not talking about people. But the fact is, people believe things are terrible right now.
Yep.
That's the whole point.
Yep.
So that part of I don't know if she got off the teleprompter or whatever, because I'm like, that doesn't make sense. You're saying people are talking about how terrible things are, and then you're saying that don't let anybody tell you who you are.
Right.
Well, that's not what's going on.
Right.
And so, but it was the entire thing where she's saying things aren't terrible. This is the whole thing of joy that they're trying to bring up. And it's just what you got out of the convention this week. Again, rhetorically speaking, she was able to give a speech. What politician can't if you stick to a teleprompter and do it? But what about the substance of it? What did you get out of it what did we get out of it this week? What we found out is that she is a little bit different than Biden. She's promoting that she's further left.
Mm.
That's what you got out of it.
Oh, yeah.
That she's further left. But when you look at, I want to get to let's get number one to we'll have some liberal analysis of this, all right?
Okay.
Here's Chris Cuomo, all right, on News Nation, right? Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, Kamala Harris talked about immigration, but excusing the situation of the status quo as being a function of one bill not getting allowed to pass by Trump is not going to be satisfying, not to independent voters, not for people who study the issue.
There. The other thing, I want to get to the one audio cut that I got, which was from NBC and their immediate analysis. Here it is. It may be hard to hear. I'm going to play it, and then I'll read you what the actual transcript is. It's a very short audio cut. Here we go.
All right.
But again, we didn't hear a whole lot about how she would be different from a Biden administration.
Yeah, we didn't hear a whole lot about how she would be different than the Biden administration. And looking at this entire week, what you got, looking at the umbrella of the entire week, is the same Trump lies were promoted over and over again.
Yeah, right.
And one was Charlottesville. The other was bleach.
Yep.
The other was suckers and losers.
Mm-hmm.
All never happened.
Right.
All made up. They purposely it's not an accident. They're not talking ad lib.
Right.
And so you say, well, why would they throw out lies that have been disproven? Well, number one, they believe there's a bunch of stupid people out there that don't pay attention that will buy anything. But number two, it's an act of desperation because they know they can't talk about where they really stand on the issues.
Right.
And when she does talk about where she stands on the issues, look, when you can sit there and you know, we talk about class warfare and how it's worked for the Democrats. All right, I'm somebody out there and I'm having a hard time paying my mortgage and paying my bills. You coming out and saying, I'm going to tax the billionaires. I'm going to tax this. I'm going to tax this. I'm going to tax this. That doesn't solve my problem.
Yeah.
How are you going to solve the problem with the economy?
Right.
How are you going to solve the problem of the inflation that came out of your administration? The Trump campaign now, you've only got really 4 weeks. So you've got to get this done now. You've got to tie her directly in to the Biden administration because that question is still, which is easy to do, but she's Biden. In fact, she's worse than Biden.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
By what she has stated, she's worse than Biden. She didn't talk about how she's going to make your life better on inflation.
Right.
She didn't talk about making the economy better. And then her statement on Israel is the exact same as Biden, and that doesn't hold water. She might have just lost, you may have a ton of people in Michigan not vote because we stand behind the, defending Israel, but, the whole but the Palestinian, forgetting what Hamas, it's the exact same thing. She's trying to ride the exact line as Biden did, and it didn't work for him. And the other thing, just in general, outside of issues, which we'll get to on the issues, is the fact that she's running the exact same campaign of not speaking and not doing any type of interviews or press conferences. Everybody knows it. It's now over a month she hasn't done it. And so you understand that the Democrats inside the Democratic Party, they went from one candidate who they could not trust to take any questions because he's old and has cognitive problems, where they anointed another person who they believe cannot take and answer questions because she's completely clueless on the issues, has no experience really in the real world, doesn't know how things run. It's a different reason.
Yeah, I said a few weeks ago that the day that someone wrote that letter for Biden, that he announced he was stepping down and he was endorsing Kamala, there was relief. The relief isn't euphoria, but it kind of felt like euphoria for the Democrats in that, oh, my gosh, okay, finally. We got somebody young, finally, and then, oh, wait. We had somebody who couldn't speak because of cognitive issues, and now we have somebody who can't speak because they're clueless.
And so this is, when you look at it, this is a campaign that has repeated the same debunked Trump lies that if you're paying attention, you know. And you look, you go, well, why did they do that again? They're throwing out the obvious lies. I think the suckers and losers was thrown out again last night. Who was it? I think Leon Panetta threw it out.
Yeah, right.
And it was just like, wow. Everybody knows it didn't happen. But then you look at it and you go, well, why are they doing it? They're doing it out of an act of desperation because they know that they cannot convince the American public, if they tell them where they really stand, that the American public will vote for them. It's up to the Trump campaign now to throw that back in their face. And you tie in, it's easy to do it, you tie in Kamala Harris is Joe Biden, only further left. But you need to explain things. You know, Trump throws, first let me say this. He is much better than he was in 2020. Much better, much better. But the one thing that he's got to do is, it's more important, don't just throw out comrade this or communism. The average person, that doesn't relate to.
Right.
It may relate to you if you grew up during the Cold War. Explain why the policy is wrong.
Yeah, right.
Just don't throw out just don't say she's terrible or she's bad. Say she's bad because of this.
Right.
And I would suggest the president sit in a room with J.D. Vance and say, what do you think about this and how should I answer it?
Yeah, that's what has to happen. Look, there was the interview with Trump, and someone was asking him to respond to the Obamas the other night, and then he went full-on high road, in that moment. Yeah. I have respect for him. I like the guy. I like his wife. Now, again, that was just a moment. We might go at a rally this weekend. It might be something totally different. I don't know. The fact of the matter is that right now, from now, their convention is over. Your convention is over. From now to November 5th, it has to be there has to be the clear distinction as to the fact that she clearly wants to go a lot further than any liberal administration, including Biden. And you want to fix everything that is broken, and you've got a track record that you can do it. You've proven you can do it. Those are your two. That's your contrast right now.
Yeah. And you don't have to explain as much as she does what you're going to do because people already know. Right. Or the guy already knows what to do because the economy was better during it. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to say, just don't say she's bad. Say she's bad because of this.
Right.
And this and this. And this doesn't work and that doesn't work. You don't need to go into hour-long explanations.
Right.
Make it quick. Do it. I believe he can do it. He's doing a much better job, especially over the last 3 weeks. And making peace with Brian Kemp is huge for Georgia. We'll see what happens later on today, whether he gets the endorsement of Kennedy, because that would also be huge. Mm-hmm. I did see one poll that said 70% of the people right now that are for Kennedy would vote for Trump.
Okay. All right. We were wondering.
Yeah, it was like 70-30 or something like that. It's like, oh, okay, that man. And somebody was actually doing the calculation, said that's a 2-point bump for Trump if that would happen. based on where he stands right now. That may be overly optimistic.
It may change. If it's
Right.
true, it may change between now and November 5th. You have to consider all the different factors. But it would be a huge deal. Because, again, I said this yesterday, and I believe RFK Jr. would be different than the typical dropout. We make the deal. I endorse you. You pay my debt off, my campaign debt off, and or promise me the a cabinet position.
Yeah, did you hear that anywhere? Or are you just saying? I've not heard that anywhere.
What?
That he's going to pay off his campaign debt.
No, I was making the point. That's where I started. I was making the point. The typical where you make a deal where I endorse you, you pay off my campaign debt. Typically, that's what would happen in the past. What RFK Jr. is looking at now is, the story is really, it's about a cabinet position. He wants a job in the Trump administration. And so, I, number one, don't know if he has any debt. I assume he does. I assume he's broke. I don't know. But typically in the past, that's how it works. You drop out and you look for an endorsement. In exchange, you get the debt taken care of. Someone basically pays off your campaign debt, which they can do. But in this case, if he does want a cabinet position, and also the nature of RFK Jr., I think he's going to be a different surrogate than the typical, I dropped out of the race, yeah, I endorse him, we'll see you guys later. I think he'll be more active. I could be wrong, but given how active he's been on podcasts, I think that's going to hold.
86690 Red Eye.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. How much do you know about synthetic oil? Heavy-duty trucks have been running on traditional mineral oil for the last 100 years, but today's technology brings us other options to consider. Synthetic is better quality. Unlike conventional oil, synthetic oils have a consistent molecular structure, giving it the ability to support pressures from higher horsepower engines, especially at lower RPMs. It also allows oil to reduce friction in an engine, controlling temperatures and improving fuel economy. Lastly, they're cleaner. Synthetics pick up fewer contaminants as they do their job of lubrication. They also have a better oxidation stability, resulting in an overall cleaner engine.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. The spin's already starting. We'll have a great audio cut coming up following the bottom of the hour from CNN, where the anchors are talking about, the Democratic Party, the people, the delegates, the voters, they don't want her talking to the media because she could slip up and give Donald Trump the advantage. Mm-hmm. It's worked for her so far, so why should she do any interviews or tell the American public where she stands?
Right.
Oh, my God. I mean, it's just like this is the same thing they tried to do with Biden. Actually, they're gaslighting more now because with Biden, they said, well, he's talking to you. What do you mean?
Right.
Well, he says hi when he says hi under a helicopter blade with the jet engines going.
Right. Look, when he's walking down the hallway in the White House and nobody's there, he's saying hello to everybody.
Yeah. And so wait till you get that. Plus, of course, Scott Jennings on CNN had a field day with it all. Plus, we'll go to some of your calls and comments, too, because it's over. And now the campaign, now it starts.
Yeah.
Now it starts. And by the way, it's not till November. They've got to get everything in the next month before early voting starts. Mm-hmm. They've got to absolutely define who Kamala Harris is to all independents. And it's not hard to do. Why? She's the co-pilot already in the disaster of the last 4 years.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio. from the Uniden America Studios.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here. All right. All right, here we download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose if you can't listen live overnight.
And thank you.
Yes, as always. We had said the other day that the Harris campaign and Democrats know that they cannot convince the American public to vote for them if they tell them where they stand on the issues.
Right.
Thank goodness Democrats themselves say that. Every Democrat interviewed on CNN and broadcast on CNN said Harris should not release her policy platforms prior to the election. Think about this. Here we go. Let's here we go.
Yeah.
Let's play it.
Yeah.
I haven't heard from many voters looking for white papers and policy papers. What they want to hear is what her vision is for this country.
The American people don't vote on policy prescriptions.
I actually think the way the American people think about this choice is less about the minutia of policy and more about the direction of the country, number one. And secondly, about the person. Character, it does matter.
Let's not get into the details of
Connolly,
issues.
The congressman from Virginia there, I asked him more about this. He said, remember what Elizabeth Warren did when she ran back in 2020? She had a white paper for every policy position under the sun. And what happened? She collapsed in the primary. So there's a belief that perhaps you put more ideas on paper, that's a bad idea. But the question is, voters want to see some of those ideas.
Right.
Maybe, but if you go with the vibes, it's a vibes election.
Right.
It's the vibes. It's all about the vibes.
Let's get more into that discussion. That
Is, and you hear the criticism, she has to do more interviews, she has to talk about policy. Interesting from insiders you're speaking to, they're sort of like, no, absolutely not. Haven't needed to do it so far.
Yeah.
Why start now?
And that's exactly it. They're concerned about her doing that could potentially trip her up and give Trump some ammunition. In fact, a lot of those Democrats I spoke to today said avoid those policy prescriptions.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so what we said is they only want to project imagery. They know if they tell you what they're going to do, you're not going to vote for them.
I told you in the pre-show meeting that it was clear that when you looked at the content and how she opened and telling the story about, how she was raised and everything else, that her campaign and the DNC clearly believe that this is a competition between the personalities, that this is going to be about being likable or not. I mean, we can just go back to the whole Joy thing, and this is, which is ridiculous, which the week of Joy started with an angry old man. And the problem is that, whether they in their heart of hearts believe it is one thing, but they want everybody else to behave that way. And when you have so many people going, yeah, don't talk about the policies. We'll make it about personality and make it about personality and make it about personality. I'm guessing that what they're negotiating on the TV interview is going to be, they're probably saying, we don't want it to be a sit-down interview. We want you to remember the whole Beto thing when the reporters in Texas were following him around and trying to make him a rock star. And he's skateboarding in a Whataburger parking lot. You know how many drunk people have skateboarded in a Whataburger parking lot? If I had $1 for every drunk person that's ever skateboarded, but they followed him around trying to build this, euphoria. He was wanting to do that because he wanted to look like a guy on the go because he was empty. He had nothing. And he wanted to always look like a guy of the people. He wanted to be a rock star. And I think I'm right on this. It's just a prediction. It's not a prediction. A possibility, I think, of what you might see in a TV interview is them following her. Well, I'm busy. I've got to, I was even too busy for my own convention. I've got to be out there with the people, and you'll just have the reporter, whoever it is, following her around, having people,
ice cream.
Yeah. gush over her and walk in,
right.
and it will only be that
Right.
kind of TV event or streaming event or wherever it happens.
There's only one reason they don't wish her to talk policy.
Yeah.
That's because, and the polls show it.
Yeah.
You know, you see the disconnect in the polls where landslide numbers of Americans, including a significant and in some cases plurality and majority of Democrats, agree with Trump on the issues.
Yeah.
The reason that you have this thing at CNN where they're talking, every Democrat that they interviewed for broadcast said she should not tell America where she stands on the issues at all. And then you could hear the CNN anchors saying, great idea, and they even admit, well, Elizabeth Warren did it. When Elizabeth Warren did it, she went right down the tubes because America doesn't want to live under a Elizabeth Warren presidency.
Right.
And what she would do. And so you've got the liberal media now admit things are so bad that they're admitting, no, we don't want her to talk. But we don't want her to do interviews. Teleprompter only. Do not have her do an interview. Do not have her release anything that she stands for, because if she tells you where she stands, Donald Trump will win.
Right.
That's what the left is saying, and the Democrats are saying that.
Yep.
That's the message they're giving.
Yep.
Trump will win if Kamala Harris tells you where she truly wishes to take the country.
Yep.
Now, if you want an example of where she's going to take the country, look at the administration that she's currently in and the fact that what she has promoted is more liberal than what this current administration, that America has rejected what they actually believe.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, and here's the thing. What I noticed about her speech is, starting with that personal story, there were things you had to listen. There were agenda things in there that were very clear in that speech. But I saw somebody say, and this is a person that is they follow the metrics of people who stream our attention span on things like this, and they said people drop out. It's about 10 minutes. That's about they're gonna watch, and after about 10 minutes, they're gonna check out. And you spend that 10 minutes on personality. And then eventually you kind of, and again, what I heard tonight was a rally. What I heard all week was a rally, and it was a mess of a rally. Forget about even calling it a convention. For a rally, they did a horrible job. But you see this clearly tonight, or last night now. They believe it has to be about personality. You front load it with personality stuff about how she grew up, her mom, and everything else, and hope that flies for you. There's no way in the world she's going to line out her agenda, because everybody knows. And by the way, that I think that is a problem. That I think that right there is a liability for them, because then you're left to assume, oh, she's going to do more of what Biden's doing of where we are now. Someone wrote me on X and said, basically what I saw here this week is Democrats wanted people to think that Donald Trump is in office right now. We've mentioned that actually multiple times over this week. And they do want, and we've also said, they want you to forget she's the current vice president, that this is the Biden-Harris administration.
They want you to forget that just a month ago, she was viewed by Democrats as the least qualified person that they would consider for president of the United States. That was Democrats.
Get in the Wayback Machine and go back 4 weeks and find me a Kamala sign.
Yeah.
Find me someone on the left calling for her to be the one.
Yep. Find it. You can't.
Nope.
So it's a complete charade.
Yep.
And we all know it. Let us go to, hang on here. Let us go to Mike in Amarillo, who is a Democrat. Mike, welcome. You're on Red Eye Radio. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I was a delegate to the state convention in June, and we voted to have our delegates vote for Biden-Harris. Kamala Harris only appeared on the ticket with Joe Biden, so once he resigned, she, by default, had to resign with him because that was one vote. And
you mean according? You're talking about according to the rules? Is that in Texas? That's the rules, or that's the?
She appeared. She appeared. It was Biden and Harris,
right,
nationwide in the primaries.
Oh, okay.
They ran as a pair.
Right.
All of the primaries. So when he resigned, she by default, the ticket resigned. The delegates should have never been given to her by rule before the convention was allowed to go into caucus. And those delegates, by rule, should have been divided amongst the remaining candidates that did not withdraw proportionately. In other words, let's say he won by 80%, there were 20% between the other candidates. The other candidates become 100%, and then each one gets their percentage of the 100, and then they divide those delegates and issue them proportionately based on the number of votes each of the remaining candidates got. That's how it's done.
Well,
They
Mike,
did not
you're
follow
a
that.
delegate.
And you cannot do that before the committee before the delegates are ratified, seated, and they vote for a convention chair.
Okay, so you're a delegate. You're a delegate, and you seem to care. You're the first Democrat that we've heard that is upset with. Now, I'm not saying that they don't exist, but you're the first one. You're a delegate. It doesn't seem like the voter cares. The Democratic voter doesn't seem to care. Is there dissension inside the Democratic Party because of this that still lingers?
There are a lot of people that are so upset about this. A lot of us are. Now, bear in mind, I live in the most conservative congressional district in the country. That's Congressional District 13. Ronnie Jackson is our congressman. He's running unopposed. He's best friends with Trump. I mean, he was the White House doctor for 12 years, for crying out loud.
Right.
And Ronnie's a friend. I at one time, I ran for Potter County Democrat chair and got resoundingly defeated. I got 22% of the vote. That tells you where the other went. But they have not followed the rules at any particular portion of this whole system. They have not followed the rules. Somebody needs to pull out the handbook. It's readily available online, and read what they should have done, and they didn't do it. They have willfully interfered with a duly operated election.
So for delegates like you, Mike, then what was the answer? Did you clearly issued your concern, and what did you hear back from them?
I got a deaf ear. They turned their backs.
Wow.
So guess what? I'm turning my back. They need me. The power in the politics is the precinct chair in the neighborhoods. That's the most powerful person in politics, because without them, you can't get the counties, the county delegates. You can't get the county without the county delegates. You don't get the state delegates. And without the state delegates, you don't get the national delegates.
Well, and quite frankly, they're not.
It starts at the county level.
Yeah, and quite frankly, and you're right on that. But quite frankly, you know, as you mentioned, you're in the most conservative district there. My parents live in the same district, and so the party clearly is going, well, it's a wash with people like Mike and the other delegates, in other liberal districts. I'm wondering about them. And Mike, thank you for sharing that. We appreciate.
Let me tell you something. I've got family out in California that they work in the music industry and they work in the movie industry, and there are a lot of people out there that are not happy about this either.
Wow. Thank you, Mike.
California's up in arms.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. We appreciate you sharing that. Thank you.
866-90 Red Eye.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Yeah, so it's really interesting because we thank the last caller, who was a Democrat delegate who's not going to vote for
Yeah.
Harris because the Democrats did not follow their own rules.
Right.
And, you take that on top of what we saw and, what we just mentioned, that every Democrat interviewed, every delegate who was interviewed does not want Harris to release any policy platforms. And as you can see from CNN, the anchors they were interviewing all said, nope, she shouldn't do any interviews either because she'll get tripped up and that advantage will be Trump. What they're communicating is we can't sell you what we believe. Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
That may be the first time in political history that a party has said, we're not going to tell you what we believe because you won't vote for us. Vote for us because of false imagery.
Right.
Wow.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So Trump X'd this out last night. She didn't mention China. She didn't mention fracking. She didn't mention energy. She didn't mention meaningfully Russia and Ukraine. She didn't mention the big subjects of the day that are destroying our country. There are 60 million people in poverty in the U.S. under their watch, and she still doesn't even talk about them. Think about this. I've never covered an election like this. Well, none of us have, but I've never covered an election where one party wishes to tell you what they wish to do, what the problems are, and how they're going to solve them.
Right.
And the other party is like, no, we don't need to release anything. We don't need to tell people anything. This is a vibe. Think about this. Think how stupid the Democrats think you are. This is a vibe election. We need to get the vibe.
Yeah.
This is an imagery election. This is about this is about a vision.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's your vision based on what?
Right.
It's a vision based on what?
Yeah.
Issues, where you stand, because all politics is about issues.
Right.
What you're going to do. Well, we can't tell the American public what we're going to do. The other side, they want to tell you what they're going to do. That's their weakness.
Mm-hmm.
That's how Democrats think. I mean, this is the ultimate con job, going beyond anything the Biden administration ever tried to do. It didn't work for Biden. They believe, this is the interesting thing. We'll see whether Dad was right.
Yeah.
I'll ask Dad. Dad, you think you're... I'll ask him after November 5th. Dad, you're 98 and a half now. What's your opinion on whether Americans wish to be BS'd? The Democrat Party believes that the people of this country want to be BS'd. They don't care about solutions. They don't care about where you stand. They don't care about reality. All they care is, can I have a smile on my face?
Mm-hmm.
Do I have a nice personality? Mm-hmm. And can I just throw out, I'm going to do great things, and the American public and the American independent, like drones, will just go, absolutely, let me bow down before you. All I want is a vision. Just throw me a vision. Don't give me any details. Just give me a vision. Good God. I mean, is this where the Democratic Party is so intellectually bankrupt that the members themselves and the media are now promoting, no, shut up, don't tell anything to the American public? Yeah, because that's what you got out of CNN last night. Yep. And from every delegate that they interviewed and broadcast on CNN, every single one said, no, this isn't an election about issues. It's an election about vibes.
Yeah.
It's an election about a vision.
Yeah.
It's an election about joy.
Yeah. By the way, this is what happens when you legalize it. It's all about vibes. Yeah.
Seriously, because if that's the case, I might become an addict, because if ignorance is bliss, ignorant being high must be super bliss.
Or it goes the other direction. Because here's the thing. It's one thing to be high when you're not a critical thinker to begin with. To me, if I were really high and my critical thinking skills were still intact, that would be a nightmare. I'd have the battle of the two going on in my brain. It would be a nightmare. Oh, God, someone please sober me up. But if you live in a delusional state to begin with, why not pop a couple of edibles? This is exactly what it sounds like, honestly, when you feel like well, number one, you don't have an organized party. You still don't. Clearly nothing changed since Biden dropped out. We said it before he dropped out. They are not in unison. The Republican Party is in unison. The Brian Kemp thing, but that's fixed. The Democrats were clearly not in unison, and after this week, that shows. That was not when what you saw up there was chaos. Now, yeah, you saw people cheering, you saw people clapping, and you saw every establishment person from their party on stage. Someone tell me that they saw conviction, that the Obamas wanted to be there, that Biden wanted to drop out. All of it was forced. It was a chaotic convention, in my opinion. It was a mess. And what you saw tonight, if you saw applause, if you saw people, they're delusional, that is not euphoria. That is not, oh my gosh, she's the one. Because you can't make that happen without it being real. You can't force that. It wasn't going on 4 weeks ago, and it didn't happen this week because she's not the one for them. They had to force it. The Obamas were late to the game on the endorsement for a reason.
They don't want her.
They didn't want her. They still don't want her.
They still don't want her. I'm just reading here Mark Thiessen from the American Enterprise Institute. It's fascinating how the media refuses to accept Trump's rejection of Project 2025, but seamlessly lets Kamala Harris disown every radical far-left policy she has publicly endorsed, from the Green New Deal to Medicare for all to ending fracking and decriminalizing illegal border crossings. I will say this. It's not fascinating that they're doing it. They have no choice. It is, I will say this, it is fascinating to the degree of the bull crap that is going on right now with the Democratic Party. And like on CNN, where they're endorsing that she does not tell the American public, where she stands. Now, we've been saying this for the longest time. If you've been a listener for any length of time to the show, we've been talking about this here for a couple of years, that number one, that the Democrats have gotten to a point where their biggest enemy is not even Republicans, it's reality. Inflation is reality. Inflation is because the American public was told debt doesn't matter.
Right.
That debt doesn't matter. Loose monetary policy doesn't matter. They were lying to you. It does matter. Mm-hmm. It all matters. That's why you have the inflation, that you have today. The border's become a problem all over.
Right.
As we know, because all over cities across America, liberal cities understand the problem of the border.
Yep.
They understand it now. Reality has hit. Understand that the media, and we're going to say this again to all of the conservative media out there, stop being shocked that the media, the mainstream media, aren't journalists.
Yeah.
because they're not journalists. They're radical, far-left, radical political activists. They don't care whether they're wrong. You saw it on CNN. Think about this. When in the hell, in all of journalism, have you ever seen, like you saw on CNN, advocating, and they call themselves journalists, advocating that she should not speak to the press? Right. She shouldn't do interviews. Right. No policy positions should she put out. Why? Because
if you do,
Trump would take advantage of it.
And back when Elizabeth Warren did the white paper thing, and what was funny was really the comment was about, certainly don't write it down and put it on paper.
Right. Well, but here's the other thing. They think about the mental gymnastics of the BS involved here.
Yeah, no, you got this. Is what that's.
Let me just finish.
It's a great point because I was about to make it. Go ahead.
The
the work that they put in. The Olympics, you got nothing. How many gold medals did you get? Oh, no. But, hold my beer.
But the mental gymnastics to demonize Trump.
Yeah.
You know, no, she shouldn't do this because if she comes out and tells the American public where she stands, if she puts out a position paper, if she sits down with an interview, she may be cross-examined, and that evil Donald Trump will take advantage of it.
Yeah.
That Donald Trump in an election will call her on the fact that what she is promoting, 70% of Americans disagree with. He'll call her on it. That mean son of a SOB will call her on it. That mean Donald Trump will do something horrible for America again and call Kamala Harris on where she actually stands on the issues. That's coming from the media.
Yeah.
That should be saying, I want these people to tell us what they actually believe because we're the conduit. Well, they're not going to do that because they're not journalists. They're radical political activists because no true journalist would ever say that, ever, ever.
Right.
No journalist would ever say, no, I don't want them telling the public where they stand.
Right.
No journalist would ever say that.
No.
And in case, I should play it again here.
Yeah, no, it definitely bears repeating.
It needs to be played again. In fact, there's two different audio cuts that combine part of it all together.
Okay.
But I'm first gonna play. This is where CNN went out, and every person that they interviewed, every delegate they interviewed, talked about the fact that she should not tell America where she stands on the issues. Here we go.
I haven't heard from many voters looking for white papers and policy papers. What they want to hear is what her vision is for this country.
The American people don't vote on policy prescriptions.
I actually think the way the American people think about this choice is less about the minutia of policy and more about the direction of the country, number one. And secondly, about the person. Character, it does matter.
And Jerry Connolly, the congressman from Virginia there, I asked him more about this. He said, remember what Elizabeth Warren did when she ran back in 2020? She had a white paper for every policy position under the sun. And what happened? She collapsed in the primary. So there's a belief that perhaps you put more ideas on paper, that's a bad idea. But the question is, voters want to see some of those ideas.
Right. Maybe.
Voters do, but then as we get into more of what they actually said on CNN, here we go.
Is, then you hear the criticism, she has to do more interviews, she has to talk about policy. Interesting from insiders you're speaking to, they're sort of like, no, absolutely not. Haven't needed to do it so far. Why start now?
And that's exactly it. They're concerned about her doing that could potentially trip her up and give Trump some ammunition. In fact, a lot of those Democrats I spoke to today said avoid those policy prescriptions.
There you go.
No, I mean, listen, don't say anything. Don't put out what you're going to do. In my mind, I've been walking around. I told you, I think I've said it on the air for the past few weeks. And it's, again, because I think the independent or undecided voter is looking at this and it's, okay, what are you going to do? Yeah, but what are you going to do? How are you going to fix it? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Yeah, but what are you going to do? And these activists are saying, don't say what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Do not. Whatever you do not say what you're going to do.
On anything.
On anything.
On any issue. No,
right.
just don't.
Right.
And that's why, for example, because it was, do not discount the fact of it was calculated. It was not ad lib that they threw out the Charlottesville lie.
Right.
That they threw out the bleach lie. That they threw out the suckers and losers lie. There's a reason they did that. Twofold reason. Number one, they believe the people that will vote for them. They believe that Democrats are idiots. And to Mike, the delegate in Amarillo, who called us a Democrat that's furious, understand this is your party.
Yeah.
They don't want.
It's not just this campaign.
Right. I mean, no, it's not just this. This is the part. You saw it. This has been going on now for almost 4 years.
Yep.
It went in during the campaign. Don't let Biden talk.
Right.
And now it's another candidate. Don't let her talk.
Right.
Do not tell the American public. And it'd be interesting to talk to Democrats who would actually be willing to talk and say, are you okay? Because do you actually believe? Is this sort of like gay marriage? Or you could say Obamacare. Don't get on the details. As Gruber said, the American public is stupid.
Right.
So let's sell them something because they're stupid. The stupid American voter, as he said. What I've said, and that's why I said it to Mike, he might be upset as a delegate that the Democrat voter doesn't care.
Right.
And understand when we said before, people used to say, well, the politicians aren't working in the best interest of the people. Yeah, they are.
Mm-hmm. They're doing exactly what their constituents are asking them to do.
I've not heard one Democrat voter furious that the Democratic Party did not follow the Democrat rules, as Mike showed, do not care about the spirit of democracy, will lie about the cognitive ability of their candidate, and the number one thing, if you're a Democrat, as from CNN, absolutely don't promote what you believe.
Right.
So the only conclusion you can come to is they are so incredibly radical, not just the delegates, but the average Democrat voter is such an incredible, radical, pro-terrorist, Jew-hating, anti-Semite, identity politics, racist person that they do not want the public to know.
Right. Whatever you do,
that's where they are.
Don't talk about what you believe and what you want to do.
Right. If you want to get aboard, we do have a line open. Where do you think the campaigns are going? Here we go. It starts today. And, wow. 866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Uncompensated detention at docks frustrates drivers of all stripes. If you're an owner-operator, you have at least some control over the matter. Make the subject a standard part of your rate and/or contract negotiations on the front end. You can use your own numbers to calculate an hourly rate to compensate for lost income opportunity, as well as fixed costs, which don't stop when the truck stops. Those two elements of a fair detention rate were deemed appropriate by most of Overdrive's audience almost a decade ago. We've used income, fixed costs, and miles average of our owner-operator business services from ATBS's clients to compute an average $64 an hour detention rate then. And 10 years later, the figure is $83 an hour. Use your own numbers to calculate your rate. A simple conversation with any broker or shipper or your carrier if you're leased about what you're putting in the rate might yield results you don't expect. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics.
Brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Now, there is a problem with the Harris campaign and the delegates and the media if they say that Kamala Harris should not do any interviews whatsoever.
Right.
That she shouldn't do any interviews, she shouldn't release anything. Well, then, how do you fill your airwaves? We'll give you an example of what happened on ABC and show the problem that if you're not going to say anything as a candidate, the opposition will.
You're a threat to democracy if you don't download our app, Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks for being here. The problem is, if your campaign is not going to do any interviews, is not really going to tell you policy positions, is going to use surrogates, and you can't get to the candidate directly, and so there's a sense of confusion, you're giving the opportunity for the opposition to define you. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And you see it happening already. This is ABC, all right? ABC and Tim Murtaugh, who they interviewed, again, from the Trump campaign. It's like, okay, who are we going to get to talk?
Yeah.
Well, how long can you go on any broadcast with saying, well, our candidate, really, we don't want them to talk about anything, and we believe it's a viable. That only goes so far.
Right.
And so this was on ABC last night.
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty rich to hear her talking about the threat of somebody prosecuting and trying to send to jail their political opponents, because that's precisely what the Biden-Harris administration and their Justice Department has been doing to Donald Trump. But near the end of her speech, she quoted her mother, I think it was, when she said, "Show them who you are," which it actually made me laugh out loud when I was watching this, because the irony in that, what is happening in this convention is the exact opposite of that. It has been, yesterday was 1 month since she became the presumed nominee when Joe Biden was forced off the stage. And in that time, she hasn't had a single interview, hasn't sat down for a single interview with you guys or anybody else. She never talks about policies. In fact, she doesn't have a policy section on her website. This was an outrageously unique convention, because what they've done, they didn't just repackage and launch somebody like a normal convention usually does. They invented a whole new person. She has never, like John Carl was just talking about, she staked out, and always through her whole career has staked out these left-wing positions, far left-wing positions, especially in the 2019 and 2020 Democratic primaries. She will never own up to those things. She is concealing her entire record, and she's being presented as a whole new person.
What we've said. You just have to, you pretend like nobody's ever heard of her. Like, certainly, like she's not even the current vice president. And you try and reinvent her, not even reinvent her, erase her history completely. That person doesn't exist. This is a totally different person.
Thing is, you can't get away with it.
There's no way you can get away with it in today's age.
Right, because already the left knew when she jumped on. Again, remember, though, what was it, 2 weeks ago, almost 2 weeks ago, where we came up with Kamala, because she was agreeing with Trump positions. I haven't seen. I don't know. We're really not in a, even though the Democrats are telling you Texas is a swing state, we really don't see commercials here.
Right.
We don't see hardly any commercials.
Right.
I saw one Kamala one on streaming, and that was it. But on we played you the border ad. She can't sell that one. She can't sell that she's going to be tougher on the border than Trump. But can she run that today? No mention of fracking.
Right.
No mention of energy. No mention of what they're going to do for inflation. Nothing about high prices. Nothing about the job revision down, 1 million from March of 23 to March of of 24.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing about how you restore manufacturing. Anything that the public is concerned about, they're not talking about. And understand that publicly, it's not even like this is where they've gone further than Biden. Biden, they would just gaslight and say he is talking to the reporters.
Right.
He is. When he goes to the plane, he screams at you.
Right.
He is talking to the reporters. Right. They're not even saying that. The Democrats and the media for Kamala are saying she shouldn't talk to them. The media is saying she shouldn't talk to us.
Right.
The mainstream media. Well, that's public now. Nobody's hiding anything. Everybody, the Republicans and the Democrats agree. She's saying nothing to anybody. She won't do an interview, and the Democrats are saying that's smart for her to do that. Well, if she's not going to talk and she's not going to take any questions and she's not going to give any policy positions, and the media, the mainstream media, is promoting that she shouldn't do that because if they do, then that evil Donald Trump will cross-examine her on the issues, and she might lose like Elizabeth Warren, who put out her wacko white paper of all liberal ideas that was even rejected by the Democrat Party. Well, then you've opened the door. Who wants to talk?
Right.
Who wants to talk?
Yeah.
Republicans want to talk.
Uh-huh.
Republicans get to define you. And if you can't define yourself just by giving speeches, you've got to define yourself by actually being willing to be cross-examined by reporters and justify the things that you believe in. She doesn't even get into specifics on the teleprompter because she can't. It's all generalized.
Right.
We'll make it better. And so the talking points are out. Do not believe for 1 second that those aren't talking points that you heard from every Democratic delegate, which is, all right, look, we don't know if she's ever going to do a speech again. Or excuse me, if she's ever going to do an interview again. So we want you out there saying this is a good thing. One of the things we've heard this week, one of them was that she doesn't want to speak to the media. She wants to speak directly to the people.
Right.
She doesn't want a buffer in between.
Right.
Well, yeah, but she's not taking questions. Yeah, because you can't trust the media, and the media will twist it, and then Donald Trump will take advantage of it. Do you think the average independent who's saying, I don't like inflation and I don't like what's going on, views that as somebody who is serious about solving the problems that they have?
What you heard tonight, what you heard last night from CNN, from the liberal media, from these activists here, is a response to the question that I've been asking in my head, but really everybody's been asking all week, okay, is she going to line out her policy on Thursday? Because that's what you're waiting for. The end cap, you bring it to a close by saying this is what we'll do for you. And so everybody was asking, what's her policy going to be? And so you heard tonight, you heard the liberal media, these activists go, oh, no, it's a bad idea for her. No, of course she's not going to give her policy. Ew, this is so about vibes. That's the entire night was, what policy? We don't know. Did you see Pink? Yeah, that was a great performance, huh? Hey, Beyonce was on stage. Hey, it's all about vibes. It's about vibes, everybody. Did you feel the vibes? I'm old. If I feel vibes, I'm going to my neurologist.
I think about this.
You know, I was going to laugh, but it's actually true.
But isn't it insulting, though?
Yeah.
It's insulting
it is.
to the voter. This is about vibes. People really don't care about the issues because the Democrat delegates were saying that. They don't care about what you're actually going to do to fix the problems that we have.
It was a Gruber moment.
They want the vibe.
Stupid American voter.
They want the vibe. And if there's ever any evidence that the Democrats believe that the people that vote for them are that they believe that they're complete idiots and morons, you just saw it right there.
Yeah.
because I want my candidate. And I would have to ask Democrats out there, why don't you want the candidate that you support to articulate the positions that you believe?
Right.
Why are you okay with them not talking about it and or lying about where they believe? Why? That's the question I have for every Democrat voter out there. Because it's clear. The delegates interviewed on CNN. Nope. Public doesn't care about policy.
Mm-hmm.
Public cares about vibe.
Yeah.
I don't even know how the hell to define vibe. Do you?
Again, you say that word to me, I'm calling my doctor. This is not a a moment in time. This is not one of these political cycles, I believe, where you can just get away with that.
Okay, you ready?
They really wanted that to be the case. They wanted it to be about all euphoria, which, by the way, wasn't even euphoria. In 2008, it was euphoria. It's not euphoria now. It's everybody's high.
All right, here it is, all right? I decided to go to the Oxford Dictionary for vibe.
Okay, all right.
All right, Democrats, what are you attempting to sell by saying vibe?
All right.
A person's emotional state or the atmosphere of a place as communicated to and felt by others. A lot of moody people are giving off bad vibes. Yeah, I'm getting bad vibes from the Democrats.
Yeah.
There could be bad vibes, too.
Yeah.
Another term for vibraphone. The song featured a thrilling duet with Gary Burton on Vibes. I don't believe that's what they're talking about.
Right.
Then it can be used as a verb. Enjoy, dance to, or feel inspired by popular music. Is that what it is? They've got Pink and Beyonce out there, so
no, that's
what it was about.
Yeah.
Okay, it was,
right. No.
Oh, is vibe the waltz hop?
That's a weird vibe.
The waltz hop and shaking of the hands.
Yeah.
And let me see the verb: transmit or give out a feeling or atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the American public wants. The American public wants a vibe. Is that what independents are concerned about? If you're concerned about inflation, are you looking for imagery and a vibe? If you're concerned about what's going on at the border, do you not care about where the candidates stand on the issues, or are you just looking right vibe or imagery out there? Give me vibe. I need vibe.
Who are you voting for in this election cycle, and what are your considerations? Well, after much consideration and the vibe, I have decided that I will be voting for Kamala Harris because it's the proper vibe.
Is that on the issue of what people are most concerned about? Inflation, border, vibe?
But the only issue that might even be remotely connected is the legalization of marijuana because you're high.
Okay. That's the high vibe.
Seriously. What do they just hand out edibles?
I mean, the thing is
at the convention.
You know, it's fun to talk about because it's so stupid, but it's serious because a major political party actually believes. The other major political party actually believes that, sorry, but idiots like Mark Cuban support.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That, because I say an idiot because only an idiot could support a political party that actually says we don't want to tell the American public what we're going to do.
Right.
I don't like to name call, but I don't know how else to describe people who say, I don't want to know what you're going to do. Just give me the vibe.
Well, it would be ridiculous, even if Trump were the current president, to just go on the vibe thing. But think about this. The premise.
Imagine Republicans. You just hit it right there. Can you imagine Republicans? Trump coming out. I'm not going to tell you where I stand on the issues because I believe people want the Trump vibe.
Please welcome to the stage the former Speaker of the House, John Boehner. Two people applaud. He walks out. I want to talk to the Republican Party about vibes. We don't like messy. We like vibes.
Jim Jordan.
He is working. By the way, he is working for a pot company now. Boehner is, right?
Oh, that's right. I think he went from tobacco to
actually, that was it. These I didn't even know. That was accidental. I didn't even realize what I was doing there. These are imagine, because what it also requires you to believe is that, or to think, is that Trump is the current president.
Yeah,
that you don't want 4 more years. We don't want 4 more years of that. Well, no, the current administration. What's going on right now? Why are people feeling this right now? It's her administration.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. We talk about the obvious lies. Did you know the whole? A few of them talked about banning books. Josh Shapiro 2 nights ago. Listen to this.
It's not freedom to tell our children what books they're allowed to read. It's not freedom to tell our children what books they're allowed to read.
This is where they're going to go.
Wow.
That sexually explicit
right
books should be given to 5, 6, 7-year-olds.
You don't get
Josh
to tell
Shapiro.
your kid what to do.
Well, it sort of loses that moderate stance, huh?
Yeah. They're going to abolish the word parent now.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara.
Hello.
Good morning. Man, some bizarre moments at the DNC this week.
Yeah.
Ready for some of the lowlights?
All right.
We played Governor Shapiro. We got to play it again.
Yeah.
Because Eric and I said, okay, let's continue this narrative that Josh Shapiro was on from Pennsylvania.
Right.
Seriously, this is something, understand this was not ad lib. This was in the actual speech.
Right.
These people are nuts. Governor Josh Shapiro, a moderate?
Yeah, he's not a moderate.
Are you out of your freaking mind? Listen to this. Here we go. We're gonna play it again.
It's not freedom to tell our children what books they're allowed to read.
It's not freedom to tell your children they can't play with guns.
It's not freedom to put your kid in timeout.
It's not, you're jailing them. It's not freedom to tell your kids not to cross the street.
It's not freedom to have voters decide who the nominee's going to be.
It's not freedom to tell your child to stay away from those edibles on the dining room table.
It's not freedom to listen to medical advice.
I don't know why.
Your doctor is just a Trump fan.
It's not freedom to tell your child not to have sex as a minor.
It's not freedom to pay that parking ticket. I was going to say, actually, I was going to use that, but they already believe in defunding the police, so I'm late on that game.
Oh, now are we moving the freedom thing to adults now?
I don't know. I know a few kids who drive.
Oh, okay. I was like, I mean, we can because remember it was Freedom Night, and 2 nights ago was Freedom Night, and it's not freedom if somebody else won't pay for your college.
It's not freedom to tell your 5-year-old he can't drive.
Yeah, it's not freedom to tell your child, don't drive the damn car.
Exactly.
Children should have all the freedoms of adults. Josh Shapiro is insane.
Don't ever use that word moderate.
Don't ever use that again.
Because you're clueless if you do.
These people are absolutely, certifiably nuts.
Yeah.
Josh Shapiro, I'm a moderate.
No, you're not.
I'm going to talk about that children should have unlimited freedoms, should not be supervised by adults. How dare you wish to supervise children? Nice governor you picked there, Pennsylvania. Another nutcase, another Democrat nutcase.
I've been saying this for years. It's not even anymore. It's not even, it's not new, but it is very telling that it's on the stage at their convention. We've been asking for a couple of years. What are they going to be doing at their convention? I mean, several years ago, they booed God. And now they're just at the point that, it's very clear. You don't have a place in your kid's classroom. You don't have a place in any of your child's decisions, including if they want to mutilate themselves, because if you say you disagree with that, we will deem that as abuse.
Then it should be against the law to ban cigarettes or alcohol to children.
It's not freedom to say that 3-year-old can't smoke. Filterless.
It's not freedom to say that kids can't drink, and it's a big problem that too many kids are sober. My God, these people are out of their freaking minds.
This is, it goes so far beyond radical. You are just insane. You're also dangerous. This is a current governor.
Yep.
And people called him a rising star in the party.
What he's saying is children should not be supervised by adults, and there is nothing that should be age appropriate. Because if you're going to open it up and say children can read any books, then that means pornography, right?
Yep. Has to be.
It's not freedom.
Right.
He wants freedom for children. Fine. Children should be able to carry handguns.
Right. Drive cars. Drink alcohol.
Yep.
Where would you draw the line?
Forget about Prozac. Get him drunk.
Right. You're going to take your kid to an expensive doctor. The liquor store opens at 9.
Because it's children's freedom.
Right.
Does any Pennsylvanian support Governor Shapiro? Well, if you do, you're nuts too.
Right. You heard him. It's clear.
Oh, sorry. I know that all the citizens of Pennsylvania do not support him, but that's because you're just addicted to God and your guns.
You're clinging to your God and your guns, as Obama said back in the day. How dare you? But if your child's clinging to a gun, that's freedom.
Yeah, right. And adults, you can't have it, but children can. All right, let's. I may go back to that one again. Want to hear Elizabeth Warren now?
Yeah.
Okay, here's
I don't want to, but I guess we're going to. I never actually want to, but okay.
It's not freedom to not listen to Elizabeth Warren.
You're saying freedom is painful? Okay, go ahead.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
really.
it can be. Actually.
Sometimes it's really painful.
It is. You're right.
But listen to what she's trying to sell here, okay?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Kamala, she gets it. We need to make life more affordable for working people. Yeah. Donald Trump, the felon, has no plans to lower costs for families. He doesn't know how. And basically, he doesn't really care. When did he ever fill up a gas tank or worry about a grocery bill?
So they're trying to make the case that inflation that is squarely on the backs of Biden and Harris is something that Trump doesn't want to cure.
Right.
And then what he wants it wasn't the white paper. It's that she has this natural voice projection that's a permanent whine.
She sounds like someone who's trying to control children in a classroom. Please sit down, please. And that's not freedom.
You don't have freedom in my class. God, they're just...
Man.
Donald Trump doesn't care about gas and food prices. Kamala Harris does out of this administration.
Okay,
I
just go back. If you can't remember what things were like leading up to COVID during the Trump administration, the first term, just go back and review. What were gas prices in, I don't know, mid-2019? Say June 2019 gas prices. And then July 24 gas prices. Grocery prices, June 2019. Grocery prices, June 2024. Go for it. Do your own. Oh, that's right. The overwhelming majority of you don't have to do that because you know what it's like to not be able to make ends meet. Again, she's pretending. As you point out, Gary, she's pretending Trump's the current president and that Harris is not part of the current administration that caused this.
Yep.
In order for you to take in the entire week, their entire what they want you to take away from this, then you have to believe that Trump is the president now and caused all the inflation, and they had no part in it when the opposite is true. That's the Democratic Party. That's who they are. They can't even get away with it now. They cannot. There's no way that that they knew they couldn't talk the issues. They knew they can't promote her agenda. There was no way they could put it up there. Your entire week has to be about making it look like Trump is the current president and caused all these problems, all your problems, and Biden-Harris had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, that's what they're attempting to do.
Yep.
From a candidate that was probably one of the lowest rated vice president's favorability rating just a month ago.
Yeah. Right.
And they believe, they believe what my dad has always said, that they believe, my father doesn't believe people are stupid, but my father believes that people like to be BS'd.
Right.
He said that to me when I was 14 years old. 1969, he said that to me.
Mm-hmm.
Said, you're going to find out people want to be BS'd. And I went, no, they don't, Dad. He goes, yeah, they do. And I'm sitting there thinking, no, people want the truth. They want, no, they don't. And you're seeing a perfect example of it right now in the Democratic Party. We'll see whether, look, there's a ton of people that wish to be BS because the case has been made that based on the issues alone, Trump should be up by 20 points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because people know what the issues are.
Right.
So what Democrats believe is, and the pollsters believe, is that people overwhelmingly are concerned about their self-interest and how to solve it, but they don't want it from a presidential candidate.
Right.
Is that where we are as a nation? We'll find out Election Day.
Yeah. Well, yeah. How many people buy it? How many people are okay with it and want it to be the future of the country? This is the crossroads of modern times. This is we are here. I've been saying this for a while, but it is demonstrated every single day. If we don't fix this now, I'm convinced we won't in my lifetime.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. It's Friday if you want to get in, because now both conventions are over. The campaign begins. What do you think? 866-90-RED-EYE. Just reading here this headline. Newsom defends Harris's record of accomplishment amid calls for policy substance. How about a little grace? I think that when you look back at this, it's amazing that the people that were involved in the coup, to quote the Democrat journalist Maureen Dowd, so I'm quoting a Democrat, that the makers of the coup, the creators of the coup, the organizers of the coup had major
The coup crew.
The coup crew.
The cuckoo crew
had major speaking roles at this convention. All the, has-beens. They are.
It really was.
They were
it was a week of has-beens.
And, like Gavin Newsom, buried. AOC had a speaking role, but not a primetime speaking role.
No.
Buried. They don't want the public, like, let's bring them the vibe of nostalgia, but let's do everything we possibly can not to let them know what we believe. I saw that Newsom was on the floor and doing interviews,
right.
But they don't want Newsom up there.
No, they don't. They really don't.
After he got destroyed by DeSantis at that so-called debate of the governors last year on Sean Hannity, it's like, sorry, you're gone.
Right.
The guy who was the heir apparent. It's amazing how quickly Democrats go.
You know what?
From completely accepting or rejecting some. Because remember, he was completely accepted, then rejected. Then Harris completely rejected, and within a month, you talk about marketing. A brand new person, a brand new human being comes out that the Democrat Party attempts to tell the American public they always loved, where they hated her a month and a half ago. This is what the Democrats have become. It's vibe, it's BS.
Yeah.
Everything. And it's insanity. On the issue's insanity. Josh Shapiro, more of the insanity. As we played that audio beginning of this hour.
It's not freedom to tell your children what books they can read. What are you, a parent? It's very clear what their agenda is. She doesn't have to say it for those of us paying attention.
Newsom told Fox News chief political anchor Brett Baier on Special Report that he'll be out on the campaign trail plenty for both Harris and her running mate. Where, in California?
Right.
Baier asked Newsom about Real Clear Politics poll that found a majority of Americans believe the direction of the country is on the wrong track. We've been polarized and traumatized, he said. The last 3.5 years have been difficult the last 5, 6, 7 years, Newsom said, pointing to the COVID-19 pandemic and the Trump administration. We had 14.8% unemployment in April of 2020. We lost 154,000 manufacturing jobs during the Trump years. We're just coming out of this recession. We're finally taming inflation. You hear what you're saying. You're erasing the last 3.5 years, Brett Baer pressed. No, I'm saying I think it's more directional. I think it's been a challenging time for this country for many, many years, even before the Biden and Harris were elected, Newsom said. By the way, the unemployment loss, 14.8% unemployment in April of 2020.
He said many, many years. Is he also blaming Obama? Wow.
I like that.
Because, well, I mean, for nearly, let's see here, 12 of the nearly 16 years, last 16 years, Democrats have controlled the White House.
He added there's a fresh air of progress within the Democratic Party. Name me one specific fresh air of progress in the Democratic Party. Can any Democrat name me, as Newsom said, fresh air of progress? This is the thing. It's pure BS coming from them. Let's just throw out rhetorical statements. It's like it's a meme election.
Yeah.
Let's just throw out memes of inspirational quotes. No substance of what we'll actually do to solve the problems.
Right.
And the American public and Democrats are a bunch of idiots, and they'll vote for us.
Exactly.
This is what Democrats think.
Right.
If you're a Democrat, they believe you're an idiot and will vote for anything.
Yep.
And they don't have to tell you what they're going to do, because apparently they believe you agree with their radical agenda.
Right.
Do you?
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So let's just sit back here, and things are so insane that if we keep playing audio cuts, we're just going to keep mocking the things that are going on. But where are the campaigns right now? I don't know where the Democrats go from here. To me, right now, day one, whatever the polls say over the next couple of days, whether she gets a bump or not, and even depending on whether later on today you have Kennedy endorse Trump, right now everything is on the Republican side. And it's very easy as to understand why. It's whether they, again, always, as we have stated, can market correctly, can communicate effectively. Now, I remember in 2020 when we were saying they need to, communicate more effectively, and we got pushback from a lot of Trump supporters. We don't get that anymore.
Right.
They realize, well, wait a minute, after all these years, when you've got the public that agrees with you so much on all the issues, communicate better.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, it was just beginning of this week, Monday I came in. Never have I had as much criticism of Trump from Trump supporters.
Right, yeah.
And it was over the rally this weekend that I did not find as offensive as some did. Now, the standard I have is Trump is still going to be Trump no matter what.
Right.
It's that when he hits, and I have no problem, because somebody hit me the other day, said, well, you said he shouldn't get personal. No, what I said is you don't get personal where it ends up you are being the story and on the defensive at the end of the day. I have no problem with Trump, as he said the other day, he goes, all they've done is attack me, and you tell me I can't get personal? It makes a great point.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you make a great point, fine. Our concern was 3 weeks ago when he got involved in the identity politics issue, and then, by going on with the black journalists and arguing the way that the liberal black journalists argue. You don't argue that way.
Right.
That was our point, because then you became the story at the end of the day, where you could have become the story at the end of the day, but you would never have been on the defensive.
Right.
And then the whole Brian Kemp thing. But the Brian Kemp thing is gone now. Everybody loves each other, which is good.
Right.
We said eventually it's going to have to come, to that particular point. But you have still nothing has changed in this election. It's still the vast majority of people on the issues agree with Trump.
Yeah.
Big majorities.
Yeah.
Big
far.
majorities.
Yeah.
And it's that simple. Mark it effectively. Tie her to the Biden campaign, the Biden administration, which isn't hard. You know why? Because she's a part of the Biden administration.
Oh! I don't know. I've been watching the convention all week. She's what?
Yes.
She's that Harris?
Yes, exactly. She's that Harris. She's the he's the captain, she's the first officer.
Because according to Bill Clinton, I mean, just my takeaway from the Bill Clinton address night before last, Kamala Harris is the vice president. Kamala Harris is the one running to. It's easily to get confused.
Right.
That's what I took away.
Now, has anybody accused him of being a racist after he said Kamala?
I don't know, but interesting that tonight someone actually took a picture of it. Hold on a second. I got to get this right.
Leon Panetta.
He's on stage. His prompter said, and they wrote it out phonetically, her name, comma, COMMA dash LA, Harris. That's how they wrote it. It's on the prompter.
They were afraid he would mess it up?
Don't
apparently.
say Kamala. Whatever you do, don't say Kamala. Don't say Kamala. Don't say Kamala. You should have done that with Bill.
So this is really it's a campaign again that now you do your best. If the public wants to be BS'd, if that's where we are right now, she'll win.
Right.
If the public follows economics, which is you care about your own self-interest and you communicate effectively as a Republican Party and as a presidential candidate, that they are not in your best self-interest because they're the ones that created inflation, and now this same administration says they'll cure it, that the person they put in charge of the border is the one that's telling you she's going to be tougher when we've seen the insanity that we've seen, you should win. That's the best argument that you can make. The other thing is you have a Democrat Party that is split. We had the Democrat delegate call earlier in the show and say that. They're furious at what's going on inside. The voter may not be, but inside the party, they're furious.
He says a lot of people. We asked him, are you basically the question is, are you the only one? He said, no. A lot of people are very upset.
And so you have a party, and this is the biggest thing, you have a party. You can take advantage of the media. We played that audio cut earlier where ABC had on one of the Trump advisors. Why? Because they're willing to argue and debate on the specific issues at hand. Democrats are out there going, well, there's a vibe, it doesn't go anywhere. You don't get a lot of material, and you're not giving the media their talking points, except you did to CNN, which now CNN, those anchors, were actually trying to make the point, well, we think it's a good idea if they don't talk to the media. It's a good idea if they don't talk. You know, if she doesn't put on any public policies, because mean old Trump would then attack her on what she believes, as if that's a negative.
Right.
Well, you can't sell that to the independent.
No.
You can sell it to a Democrat, but you can't sell that to an independent. Most independents, the independents you would need. Here it is. On Thursday's broadcast of Fox News Channel's Ingram Angle, Senator Peter Welch from Virginia, Democrat from Virginia, responded to a question on the lack of discussion on the border and inflation at the DNC by stating that, quote, the joy here, is because we have a new nominee.
Mm-hmm.
Before the interview, she had talked about how nobody really knows what Harris's policies are going to be,
right,
and remarked that Democrats have shown that they have joy, while also showing that they're angry when the interview started. But she couldn't get out of him, well, what about the lack of discussion on the border? Because we have joy. We're talking about joy. We're talking about joy. I think that is a deadly mistake by the Democrats to be talking about the joy thing if the Republicans effectively attack it.
Well, it is, and I think we touched on it earlier this week, but if in case we didn't, because, we keep talking off the air, so sometimes hard to remember what we covered on the air, off the air in the discussion, but the whole joy thing, part of the danger for them, the liability for the Democratic Party, is the reality that people are facing right now. It is like them coming out and saying, "Oh, inflation's a good thing. It means people are spending more money." It's also kind of an indirect gaslighting kind of thing, because it is not recognizing what you're going through. But then during the convention, when they did approach that, they had to build this other bizarre facade that had you believing she's not part of the current administration, and really Trump is responsible for all of it.
Yeah.
And so we've been, you said it earlier, the mental gymnastics that you have to go through has to be exhausting, because you've got to be juggling all of these lies and delusional thoughts in order to sell them to other people and have them also have the same delusional thoughts. You're just out of your... This is Alice in Wonderland convention territory. This isn't reality.
The thing is, as we know, with the reason that the whole felon thing didn't stick, I know she said it last night. You had other people say it. They didn't pound on it as much as I thought they would. The reason is it's not effective.
Right.
People understand in the United States now the lawfare, what was going on.
Right.
They understand. They understand there's a two-tier system of justice, that Biden was treated different on the classified documents than Trump. But that's not going to be an issue, it looks like, because with Bragg telling Judge Merchan he's fine with moving the sentencing back because of the Supreme Court decision, well, then there's nothing in the way now. There's nothing in the way. There's nothing bad that can come out about Trump that we know of. You always have to.
Well, he's only been vetted for 50 plus years, so.
But there's nothing out there bad for him unless he creates it.
Right.
There's a ton of bad out there for Democrats. You look at this convention, and we brought up the fact-checked lies that they had no problem bringing up. They did that because they're desperate. That was desperation.
Right.
They brought up Charlottesville. Mm-hmm. They brought up the bleach. They brought up suckers and losers.
Mm-hmm.
What was the other one? I forgot what the other one was. The what? Bloodbath.
Yeah,
bloodbath.
Right,
the bloodbath.
He was promising a bloodbath. That not only was he saying bloodbath, but he was promising a bloodbath.
Right.
In other words, he would be behind it.
And he was talking about an economic bloodbath. Is what he's talking about. He was talking strictly economics, and they took that they took that out of complete context. The other thing is her promoting the fact that she'll be serious on the border is to the point of gaslighting to the average independent that knows what's going on out there.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that they're not going to talk, if they're not going to talk, media needs to fill time during a campaign. And so if she says something, but she won't take cross-examination, the cross-examination will come when they interview Republicans, as I pointed out with ABC last night, interviewing the Trump campaign member, and on that network just destroyed her, completely destroyed what she was saying.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact is they can harp over and over again, What is she afraid of? What is she afraid of? Because now the media is out there saying, yeah, this is good that she's not talking. Look at this. MSNBC contributor says it's important for Harris to be talking less to us. You think you can sell that to the American public? MSNBC contributor Cornell Belcher shrugged off issues regarding Vice President Kamala Harris going over 30 days without taking a press conference or a formal interview. The Democratic strategist responded to a question from NBC on Thursday from Kristen Welker on whether Harris needs to take more interviews before her first debate with Trump in September. Now, this is coming from, she's as left as you can be, but what talking points do they have? They got to talk about something, and her not doing interviews, just like Biden, has been a huge issue even on the liberal networks. How quickly does she need to start making herself available to do interviews? He said, the truth of the matter is that regular voters actually don't care that much about her not getting interviews. She's taking a conversation directly to the people across the states and the battleground states. She doesn't need to do interviews. Can you sell that to an independent?
You definitely can't sell that to an independent.
No.
But on the left, she didn't even need the voters to become the nominee.
No, she didn't. Well, they don't. That's the other thing.
Yeah, on the left, they don't care.
Well, we'll bring up more of that, too, because that's also a sledgehammer. Depending on what happens later on today, it becomes a bigger sledgehammer if Kennedy endorses Trump.
Right.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley. I'm Gary McNamara. So the desperation from the Democratic Party, is there when they have to repeat things that are debunked lies, including the whole book ban thing, which then again Josh Shapiro blew out of the water by stating it's not freedom to tell our kids what books they could read, which then sent you and I, wow, we can continue this. It's not freedom to tell kids that they can't have a handgun. It's not freedom to tell kids to look both ways before crossing the street. They need to be able to make their own decisions as to whether to look both ways before crossing the street.
End the diaper mandate. How dare you force them to wear a diaper? Let them choose what they wear.
Exactly. I mean, it's bizarre because they can't defend except they believe with the people that support their party. And I don't know we do know on the issues, you have in some cases a plurality, some cases a small minority of Democrats that don't agree with the radical agenda of the Democrats, but they keep voting that way.
Still vote that way.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome to a Friday. We're here. Well, I'll say after today, depending on what happened today, the real campaign starts. And we've been talking about what this campaign is about. With the Democrats, well, they don't want to talk about anything. So I don't know what kind of a campaign you can have when you don't want to talk the issues. And that seemed to come out last night and was being promoted far more widespread than I expected, where you even got to the point, and we'll play the audio cut again coming up here, where you had some of the CNN anchors, suggesting, she shouldn't be telling policy positions. And the Democrats out there in unison, the talking points were out there. We need to promote that giving policy positions is not what the American voter wants. The American voter wants vibe. The American voter wants imagery. They don't want the substance of what you're actually going to do. That's what they're out promoting. That opens up a huge door for Republicans that if Democrats won't define themselves, well then, as we played one of the Trump campaign people on ABC News just blasting away.
Yeah.
Well, what are you going to say? How do you respond? You know, I saw one of the interviews where they said, well, you know, look, the spokesperson came out and said, look, Harris isn't an ideologue. You know, she's worried about the future and the vision. And the anchor said, wait a minute. She's pro-fracking. She's pro-this. No. She said she's pro-fracking. She's anti-fracking. She's this. These are all the positions she laid out that exist on video. And he goes, oh, no. She said she's not anti-fracking. No, she didn't. She's never said that herself. An unnamed surrogate did, but she didn't. And then he goes, and this and this. And then he was lost. These reporters have to press. You can blow away these surrogates for Kamala Harris if they're not going to answer questions.
Right.
If she's not going to get specific, it's a great opportunity for the conservative media, but they probably won't do many interviews on the conservative media, but even to respond to surrogates who go on the mainstream media for Trump. And today, if you have Kennedy endorse Trump, that blows a democracy thing right out the window, for the Democrats. We already know it did. We told you the last week that by picking Harris without going through any type of primary process, there are furious Democrats out there. We talked to a delegate tonight. Furious. Furious as to what's going on. Not going to vote for Harris because of it. Believes it's completely and totally against the rules and regulations, not only anti-democratic, but against the rules of the Democratic Party. They said, to hell with our own rules.
Right.
And he's furious about it. So it's a great opportunity if Kennedy comes aboard to promote, number one, the unity ticket, which I love. We are the unity ticket against the Democrats. And by the way, I would use that over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
And promote the fact that Kennedy came aboard to support our campaign and endorse our campaign because of the Democrat policies of the Democrats, which is actually really good. The other thing, and you and I were talking about this during the break, the president has to explain things, but he doesn't have to do it by himself. You and I talked about the surrogates. Ramaswamy was out there at the convention.
Yeah.
I saw the video. He's talking to a bunch of Marxists. They're all Marxists.
Right.
He's having a conversation with them.
Yep.
He has a way of being able to talk to any people out there, and it was a fascinating conversation because nobody was angry at him. And he goes, well, what do you want? What would your thing be? What do you hear?
Right.
But the other thing is he was out yesterday talking about, and we said Trump has to do more than say Harris is bad. Got to explain why she's bad. And so it's like, okay, the tax, the capital gains tax on unrealized income is bad. How? How can you explain it simply? Ramaswamy did to a group of reporters. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
And it wasn't complicated. He simply said, look, you have to sell assets in order to pay taxes. That cheapens the asset because you're forced to sell it. It's not like you're voluntarily selling it on the marketplace. All these assets have to be sold by so many millions of people in order to pay the capital gains tax. It depreciates all assets. That will cause a recession.
Exactly. At tax time, everybody's selling to pay their taxes.
Yep.
That's not market-based principles. That is a government-forced situation.
But he explained it so. Then he went into it, but he started out so simply. I went, oh, people get it. That's what you've got to do. And so he's got a great surrogate because he's out. Ramaswamy's out there. There he is talking. It says Trump Vance, and he's out there. He's a campaign surrogate. And so it's good to have them out there because he was talking to reporters, and nobody's really arguing with them because they have no idea what the hell's going on in economics. But when you say it like that and make economics simple, people go, oh, yeah.
Well, because the left, and you hit on something right there, they have no idea. Because they only repeat talking points. And they also focus on the emotional thing. Well, the rich should be paying more in their taxes. They should be. All right, let's break it down. And when you break it down, they have no clue what they're talking about. And Ramaswamy lays it out very clearly.
And simply.
Those are the things that must be done because we are at this point now. Convention, showtime's over. And it was a horrible show, in my opinion. But you know what? I'm not the one they're trying to convince.
You know what I would do here? When things like, if Trump is out and somebody asks him the question, Ramaswamy should be with him. He goes, I want you to, he's my economic advisor.
Mm-hmm.
Get into the minutia and explain this, to them because economics is where you are. You can do that. Trump could delegate and do that. Or Vance is with him, and he knows or anybody else as his advisors go, this is a guy who knows exactly what's going on with electric vehicles. That's why he's part of my team right here. Come up here and explain exactly what's going on with electric vehicles or batteries or the technical part of it, and they do it in a simple way.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that.
Sure.
But you've got to be able to pound it here in the next month. But everything right now is advantage Republicans. Don't believe the crap that you heard because everybody forgets about, she looked great and she was able to speak in front of a teleprompter.
That doesn't do anything. Look, I don't know. You and I priced in a bump from the convention, and there may be one. But I don't know what causes the bump. It would just have to be delusional thought. Yay, joy, yay. I don't know. But this is where between now and election time, this is where you actually make your bones. Well, and if she doesn't talk to the media, here's my question. If the thought is, all right, she doesn't really, from the liberal media, we heard it last night, she doesn't really need to talk to us and lay out her agenda. If they've resigned to that, then is there a push for the interview? And if she doesn't do the interview, my gosh, does she even need to do a debate?
Asking the questions. Just asking the question, because asking the question is actually making the statement.
Mm-hmm.
And it's simply to any Democrat or any time, how is she different? NBC asked the question last night.
Mm-hmm.
Made the statement. She didn't make the case that she has separated herself from the Biden administration. What do you plan on doing differently from the Biden administration? Because the public believes that the Biden administration, and if you can even say, look, we understand. You're the vice president. You didn't set policy. But in 2019, your run for president, what you believed was actually more radical than what Biden believed.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you separate yourself from Joe Biden? Now, she can be there and ask the question. Odds are she won't be there. You can just ask the question. Trump can ask that question. She has not told you where she's different from the Biden administration. And if somebody comes on and says, well, she said she's pro-fracking. No, she didn't. An unnamed source did. They never mentioned fracking at the Democratic National Convention. Why not? So you can not separate her. You can tie her not only to the Biden administration, but tie her as being more radical than the Biden administration just by asking questions.
Yeah, right.
And you say, well, look, we're looking for these answers, but as far as we know, she has not separated herself, and she still doesn't have the platform was Biden's platform that she put out.
Right.
For God's sakes, the DNC didn't even put out the Harris platform. It was the Biden platform.
Were they even building more plausible deniability in doing that. Oh, look, what you saw at convention was the Biden platform. What we're talking about is the Harris platform. It is so easy to go at them. It's so easy to lay it out in simple terms and defeat them. This is about the middle. Everything is about the middle. It's about the independent. I don't know what an independent would have seen this week that moved a needle. I really don't. Somebody would have to tell me. And because, again, we're not in 2008 talking in the abstract, using the most abstract of political slogans, hope and change. We are in reality. The Democrats aren't, but reality is hitting them hard, and they're trying to recreate reality and make it seem like Trump is the current president, and she's not even in office right now.
You know, they didn't spend too much time on it, and they shouldn't, but it was all over social media after Oprah's speech. Here's what Oprah thought of Donald Trump back then.
Oh, yeah.
She agrees with everything about him.
Right.
What happened? Why did she change 180 degrees?
Right.
Bill Clinton, the same thing.
Right.
That clip of him talking about illegal aliens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Quote.
Mm-hmm.
Using the quote, illegal aliens.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same Bill Clinton. And you set the point. Look, they've changed their mind on everything. These people are radicals now.
Well,
they're all radicals. They've all turned in to radicals. And like I said, we've been saying it. We know it. You know how we know it works? Because we've been saying all these things. And when I first got into talk radio, and was still, you're still working on the issues. If there's any weak spot, Democrats will let you know.
Right. Right.
We know tons of Democrats listen to the show.
Right.
And we challenge them all the time. And all my friends and acquaintances that are Democrat, nobody's talking. Nobody's saying anything. They don't want to be confronted. They're unsure of where their party is going. They've always been a Democrat. They don't know what to do. They're going to vote Democrat, but they're like, holy hell, what in the world is our party becoming?
Nicole Shanahan this week, the VP pick for JFK Jr., and she was the one who announced that this thing may happen with JFK Jr., and we'll see later today if it does. But what she said about Trump was telling. She's a liberal Democrat. She laid out what was going on, what's going on with the Democratic Party. And then what she said about Trump, he believes it. He's
sincere.
He's sincere.
That's what she said, yep. And
which means conviction.
And she's a liberal Democrat.
She's I said that. And you have, from her perspective, you have to line up. Did you hear anything sincere this week?
Yeah.
Where was that conviction? Was there anything sincere? When Shanahan said that, by the way, not something she was forced to say. She wasn't asked, do you believe he's sincere? And it's a yes or no question. She said it unsolicitedly. Those are the things that more and more liberals are saying about Trump. I may disagree with I may not agree with him 100% of the time. But there's there's one of the main points of the contrast, especially from this week. Tell me if you believe anything you saw was sincere.
And honestly, I think that Trump should pound on the fact that she won't debate. She'll only do the one debate on the Friendly News Network, and I want 2 debates at the minimum. I want one on Fox and one there. And if she doesn't want to do it, I'm not going to walk into her. I'm trying to be fair here, and all independents know that would be fair. One on Fox, one on ABC. I even said it's okay to have one on ABC, one on NBC, and one on Fox. I'm willing to actually give her an additional one, and she won't do it. They need to pound on that.
Mm-hmm.
And he seems to have crumbled on that one. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Vance, too, the other day talk about it. He seemed to crumble on it.
I have to wonder if Kamala Harris wants zero debates. If the liberal media is saying, hey, she doesn't need to talk to us, she doesn't need to talk agenda, anything else, I don't think she wants to be on any debate stage with him.
So you're saying it would be good for her to do the one, or him to do the one, even though it's on ABC, and even though we know that it may be 2 or 3 to 1 against Trump.
I'll go halfway. I don't know if it's good for him, but I don't think she wants to do it.
Not even the one on ABC.
Right.
All depends. See, I don't put anything beyond you get the questions. We know. We already know that's happened with Democrats and CNN.
But even still, I think she's even weak, even to that extent.
With Donna Brazile.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I would say maybe you do
I
it.
get a teleprompter.
All right, maybe you eventually do it, but you pound the case.
Yeah.
You just don't concede day one. 866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on roadside inspections. Once a roadside inspection is completed, the officer will close it out, which involves the officer writing or typing up the report. The more the officer found during the inspection, the longer this will take. If violations were discovered, most officers, as a courtesy, will explain the violations to the driver. If there were any out-of-service violations, the officer will normally explain what must be done to get the out-of-service order lifted. Drivers need to be very attentive during this part of the inspection. The driver also needs to read and understand the complete inspection report. After receiving the inspection report, the driver has 24 hours to get the roadside inspection report to the motor carrier. If the driver will not be returning to a company facility within the next 24 hours, the driver needs to know to get it on the way to you via email, mail, or fax within 24 hours. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller & Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here. We'll talk more about the campaign and what the Republicans should do. And with some of the slogans that the Democrats have come up with, you know, you and I talked about this the other day with Tim Walz saying, mind your own damn business. We said, fine. On the Second Amendment, mind your own damn business. Right. I get to have my gun. You need to speak this particular pronoun. No, I mind your own damn business. Ramaswamy actually went and hit at those the other day. We'll have that coming up.
We have a line open. 1-866-90 Red Eye. Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. And coming out at 8:55 p.m. yesterday,
yeah,
Donald Trump posting on X, thank you to Brian Kemp in Georgia for all your help and support in Georgia, where a win is so important to the success of our party and, most importantly, our country. I look forward to working with you, your team, and all my friends in Georgia to help make America great again.
Comma, you jerk. Oh, no. I'm sorry. He didn't do that. He didn't do that.
No, he didn't.
It's interesting. A move in the right direction, but also an indication that some of that feedback got back to him. And I'm glad that he responded in the way that he did, if that is the case. Well, first of all, how did it not get back to him? It was all over social media. Many on the right going, whoa, you need Kemp. Kemp's not the enemy. Let's not do this again. And it's, we lined it out. You need, look, you're trying to build a consensus in the party, certainly in order, number one, to get elected. Number two, if you win, not only on Capitol Hill do you need that consensus in the party, you need it with the governors in every state. Every Republican governor is going to be important. And Georgia is extremely important on Election Day. These are things that we thought that everybody realized. And so it was kind of frustrating. It was it was very frustrating when that happened. And that there was a reaction. We weren't the only ones. And clearly that reaction reached back to the former president, and it's a move in the right direction.
You and I in the campaign have talked about the fact that the Democrats and the things that they promoted. I mean, the lies of all the lies about Trump,
Mm-hmm.
and they hit all of them.
Yeah,
from the bloodbath to Charlottesville, you name it. The things that he didn't do that had been already vetted and fact checked.
Yeah.
By liberal fact checkers and
Right.
found to be false, they brought in. There's a certain desperation, but there's also when they try to use a slogan or something, or when they try to come up with something new, the whole thing of banning books must not have worked. They must have got feedback in polling that saying that the Republicans want to ban books. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? No, they don't.
Right.
Where's this coming from?
Right.
And, of course, it was about the fact that, no, the Republicans believe there ought to be age-appropriate materials for children.
Yeah.
Which the vast majority of the public agrees with. Well, Governor Shapiro, when speaking the other night, actually said this.
It's not freedom to tell our children what books they're allowed to read.
So we started, okay, fine, you're going to do that? You come back rhetorically with other things that make what he said completely and totally absurd. It's not freedom, as we said, to tell children that they can't have a handgun.
It's Pennsylvania. They can cling to their God and their guns as well.
It's not freedom to tell children they have to look both ways before crossing the street.
It's not freedom to tell children they can't drive. It's not freedom to tell that 3-year-old that he can't have a couple of cocktails before breakfast.
Right. It's not freedom. So what the point is, you can show the idiocy of somebody like Josh Shapiro by doing that. Now, the other thing is, as we had talked about this yesterday, and probably I think the day before because he's used it multiple times, where Tim Walz is constantly telling Republicans to mind your own damn business. And we said, okay, you're telling me I have to use your pronoun. Mind your own damn business. You're telling me I have to hire this person. Mind your own damn business. I can do what I want. You're telling me that I shouldn't have a gun. Mind your own damn business. And so Ramaswamy, who's now a campaign surrogate for Trump, went down that path. All right, hang on. We'll do it again. Let's go again.
All we've gotten out of her vice presidential pick, although I got to admit, I kind of like this one, is Tim Walz's slogan. What does he say? Mind your own damn business. I actually got to admit, I kind of like that one. Well, I think it's a message that we espouse ourselves. When it comes to entering your house and taking your gas stove, mind your own damn business. When it comes to letting millions of illegals into this country to commit crimes and mind our business, we tell them, mind your own damn business. When it comes to actually indoctrinating our children in this country or telling small businesses who they can or cannot hire with the CFPB or the Department of Labor, tracking your gender or race or sexual orientation statistics of your business, mind your own damn business. That is our message to the American people. You know what? He said it. They're all words. We're about action.
Throw it right back in their face. You and I, how long ago did you and I say that it's never been easier to debate conservative ideology? It's been over a decade. We've been saying.
Yeah.
I know it's been over a decade.
Yeah.
It's easier because they're insane today. It's so much easier. They're actually insane on the issues.
They're actually helping us make our points. And they set it up. I mean, this is karate, t-ball, whatever you want to call it. It really is easier than it's ever been. It's easier than it's ever been for all critical thinkers to hit it home. One of the things that we played when the news broke that Phil Donahue had passed is something we've played for years, and that's the late economist Milton Friedman when he was on Donahue. And one of the things that we loved, still love, about Milton Friedman and people who talk like this, and I think Ramaswamy carries those sensibilities as well and is able to talk and get those points across. I think J.D. Vance has done such a great job in doing the same, is being able to break it down and talk very directly and be blunt without thinking you have to be a bulldog. You just, boom, you put it across. Things have changed so much with modern age of how people communicate. We don't just make a phone call anymore. We do FaceTime. We don't watch appointment television anymore. We stream it when we want it. We text. There's communications that change our sensibilities. Technology does. And people really want a more direct approach. And the reason is because it's how they operate in their lives. The more we communicate, the more ways we have to communicate, the more that we consume information in such a direct way, the more our mind is trying to do it efficiently. And we want people who can lay it out directly in a very, very honest and, quite frankly, blunt fashion. Those are I never had any other approach. You and I have done this for years. But our frustration with the Republican Party over the years and not being able to do it has been we've made very clear our frustrations. Right now, you have more people, more surrogates for Donald Trump that are able to do that, and Ramaswamy, J.D. Vance, right there at the top of that list, that can do that very clearly and make the points and defeat the other side and walk away with, look, J.D. Vance walking up to the media on Kamala Harris's tarmac that day. Hey, did they tell you why they won't take questions? I will. Those are the things where you are unafraid. When you are, I've been watching, you and I said off the air, I haven't seen one Kamala Harris sign in my neighborhood, and I do live in a liberal county. I live in Dallas County. I have seen, back in the day, Obama signs in yards. In fact, my neighbor right across the street, a neighbor that I love dearly. We've been friends for 20 years, and their entire family, great people. But I've seen Obama's. I saw Obama sign. One older gentleman, when we first moved in the neighborhood, or on that street rather, made his own Hillary sign, and that was leading up to 2008. He put it in his window, not in his yard, and so you've seen it before. I haven't seen any of Kamala Harris' signs in any yards. I'll make a point to drive around a little bit more, get out more, and see if I see any. But I did see some Trump signs, and I think it's very clear what you're seeing right now. There is one, and I forget the word that they used, but basically it is the direct approach. Someone who, this is, and I don't know if this person made this sign or designed it themselves, because the other Trump Vance signs just say Trump Vance 24. And I'll see if I can't get the wording, in fact, when I drive by it again later this morning and bring it on Monday. But the thought is, when you can get that blunt, honest, direct feeling from people, or if they're getting that from you, and unafraid, I think that was the fearless was the word on that sign. We've said Trump hasn't flinched. All the things thrown at him, he hasn't flinched. You look at Ramaswamy, as you point out, he's sitting there, he's talking to Marxists. He doesn't flinch. Doesn't matter who he's talking to. He could be talking to us. He could be talking to MSNBC. It's the same tone. It's the same delivery, the same points. J.D. Vance, the same thing. You have to be fearless. You have to be direct. You can't flinch. And why is it that they have the room to do that? Because the truth is on their side. The issues are on their side. The left, what you saw this week, I don't know what that was, but that wasn't fearless.
Well, the problem is you can't have a surrogate out promoting what you believe if you won't talk about what you believe. That's right. A problem for the campaign. Mm-hmm. I will tell you this. Remember my neighbor that I told you posted on Facebook that if you plan on voting for Trump, then, unfriend me right now.
Right now, yeah.
So, I mean, I have nothing against. They're fine. I always got along with them. In fact, one time when they were having a party, this goes back, and I was out of town, and I got back 4th of July, and they were screaming for me to come on over. They were having like a party in front of their house, and they wanted me to introduce me to their relatives who were like huge fans of the show.
Yeah.
And this goes back before we were in Red Eye.
Right.
And so they've known my politics for years. I mean, they know it. But so I always do what women tell me. And so I unfriended her. And I've waved to them a couple times, and I don't know whether she knows I unfriended her or not, but I went back and checked just to see her site, her page. She took that down.
Oh, interesting. And she's listed as having 2 friends.
She took it down. Well, I live in a Democrat precinct, and in 2008, Obama signs were all over the place.
Yeah.
And then there were Biden signs, a lot more Biden signs than Trump. I've seen 0 signs up.
My precinct is one of the last red precincts, and we'll see what happens this time in my neighborhood.
We're like 60-40 Democrat. Now, people, I know I'm going to get it. Why'd you move into a Democrat? I was there first.
Yeah.
I was one of the first houses in my precinct.
When I moved into this neighborhood almost 30 years ago, 30 years next year, it was solid red. I think I'm the problem, actually.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. More on the convention and what's going to happen, what might happen today. Will Kennedy endorse Trump, and then what kind of a difference will that make? Now, I did see also, because there's different polls. One poll said 70%. Now, maybe those are the people that weren't undecided. 70% would vote for Trump, and 30% would vote for Harris out of Kennedy's supporters. I did see a Fox poll saying 47% would vote for Trump, 27% for Harris, and the rest undecided. The other one I saw was undecided, but you could see even wide disparities in that poll. But in both of those, Trump with big leads in those 2 different polls.
Yeah, right.
So there's a thing, well, that could change it. That could be another point or 2 for Trump if you extrapolate that out from if he has a 4 or 5% of the vote in the polling.
Right.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.